It's easy to lack the ability to be creative when you just look to what others have done.
I'm Taylor Jackson, and this is Oversaturated, a show about marketing, business, and standing out as a creative entrepreneur in an oversaturated market.
In our world, there's infinite number of distractions. So figure out what is that outlet that allows you to be in that mind space where you can be creative.
For me to get into creative headspace, I have to separate from all distractions of current work. Usually I don't have to go far, but today we are. We're flying from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada to Florida with Vidyard co-founder Devin. Here, we meet Florida Mike McCauley, who has the local market cornered when it comes to Matt Damon lookalike appearances. That might not be true. Or maybe he might do it when we're not around, I don't know. The first step to becoming more creative and finding or maturing your voice is figuring out exactly what you want to be good at.
I don't know where we're going.
Not many of us do, Mike. Not many of us do.
It just took me a long time to figure out what it is that I was actually good at. And I never thought haircutting would be one of those things. It was always like a side hustle for me, and it actually turned out to be something that I think I'm pretty good at.
So in my eyes, at least, if you're doing something that really speaks to your own kind of personal tastes and personal ideas and aesthetics or whatever it's going to be, as long as you're yourself, that's what's going to make you stand out from the rest.
So the big lesson here is to create for yourself and other people like you. If you're creating the things that appeal to you, you're going to have a heck of a lot easier time to get on your way. Success in any oversaturated space will consume your life on some level, so make sure it's what you want to be doing and that you're not just chasing a paycheck. If you are chasing a paycheck, you will fall short in motivation when times get tough. If you're doing it for the love first, the paychecks will follow as long as you're doing it smart.
Creating's not always about splashing paint on a canvas. It's about, responding to people's opinions, needs, desires, wants, and sort of continuing to shape your product around what the market's calling for or what you want your place in the market to be.
We are creative creatures as humans. We have these instincts and we have these biological impulses, but then we have the ability to override them and think otherwise and do otherwise, which has an element of creativity baked into it, just that exact thought process or that exact skill.
Without creativity, we wouldn't have anything, like everything in life we take appreciating for, like for instance your car, that it's driving because Nikola Tesla created alternator motor, and then some other person created wheel, some other person created this, and engine, everything came together. It's all driving with kind of like the reward of creativity is right in front of you.
Like, it's a huge part of, I think, the inspiration for why we come into work and the ability to create and work with your hands. I think over time, creativity has taken on a new meaning for me, per se. When you're a young chef, I think you're looking to reinvent every single time you plate a dish. You want it to be something brand new and different. And so that's creativity in that sense of the word. And then in the other sense of the word, I think you're just creating stuff. So you don't necessarily have to be cutting a new die every time you go to work. But I take a lot of pride in working with my hands and creating things, and whether that is creating a dish for someone to eat or creating a space for someone to enjoy that dish in, creativity can have a lot of different sort of lines.
I think creativity is very much closely related to what are the problems that you run into in your daily life that you would want to see done differently.
And one thing I try and tell my younger cooks is, like, you don't necessarily have to recreate apple pie. You have to create an amazing apple pie.
The way I see it, creativity is a really essential part of being successful as an entrepreneur, and it really unfolds across a number of dimensions. You need to be able to be creative in terms of how you think about assembling your business, approaching your industry differently, doing it in a really unique and fresh way to others that are out there. In my instance, I'm running a PR and marketing agency, and they're a dime a dozen. So we really needed to be creative in terms of how we wanted to build a business that was going to attack the problem of helping businesses to create and tell their stories in a really unique way.
Documenting your own story is something that I've been passionate about for years now. I chose video and sometimes podcasts to do it, but there are a lot of other ways. Crafting the story behind why you do things, one, will help you figure out what your story is when you actually have to sit down and think about it on camera, and two, will give you a benchmark to look back on. When you're working every single day, success seems so slow and it can be really discouraging. So having a video to look back on to see how far you've come in a year will give you a lot of creative energy to push forward and know that you're on the right path. Now the big question of how to find your voice as a creator and an entrepreneur.
I probably spent the first year projecting a voice that wasn't mine because I felt like I needed to be in a collar and a jacket and essentially representing myself in a certain way. But as soon as I realized that I was being more productive and being myself and using my voice as it was, under the understanding that my voice was going to change and mature as I grew as a leader, that's when we really started to do well. And that's when I started to feel more comfortable as an introvert, because finding your own voice is absolutely critical.
That's what really separates like successful creative types from sort of closet creative types, is that you have the confidence to put that voice out there and let people comment on it, because that's really what happens as soon as you put your name behind something and say, that's me, this plate of food's me, this menu's me, this restaurant's me, you then have to be prepared to hear people's opinions of what they think of your voice.
I think the hardest part about being a creative, it's putting your ideas out there on the internet, which is extremely mean. And in a world where you would before make a painting, let's say, and put it out, and maybe nobody would see it, or you wouldn't be there to read the comment or to hear people comment on your painting at a gallery. Now you can read everybody's thoughts and everyone wants to give their thoughts. And creativity and what you create is really personal to you. So hearing people not like what you do or make fun of you or whatever it is really hard.
You have to, it's how you deal with those types of criticisms or comments or whatever it is, and then keep creating and keep having a voice. And that's something that I know we're very proud of, is looking back on almost 20 years in this industry and 10 years of owning businesses, is like we've taken a lot of lumps along the way, and sometimes you tell those lumps to f*** off and you don't even pay attention to them, and sometimes you go, oh, they've got some solid points there, and you reflect on it and you maybe make some changes to your approach.
I certainly think what we do are, we paint paths for ourselves, and we look at what others have created and the stories that other people are living, and we do something to them. Once we internalize them, we transform them in ways that can be both beneficial but also quite detrimental. I think we hold ourselves to standards that are real and unrealistic at the same time.
We're now leaving our Florida-based motorized water lawn chairs, and I'm on my way to Banff and Emerald Lake in British Columbia. I'm fortunate that my work in the past has landed me jobs and offers to come out here to do what I love. Just like everyone though, even when you're somewhat successful at something that you never in a million years thought that you would be successful at, you grow accustomed to it and you want more. You want to create things for you again, whether they are released to the public or not, who knows. But I think this was the start of what made me start taking music much more seriously in 2019, even though this specific segment is super dumb. It's a challenging kid's toy. Now we need a hook.
Do what you love and learn more. Keep learning. The second you stop learning is the second you slow down and everybody else surpasses you. So just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
Good morning. It is the last day here at the Emerald Lake Lodge in British Columbia. And while creativity is really incredibly important, it is also equally important just to wake up and do the work. Nothing really creative happening today, but I'm going to get outside and I have this entire place to myself. So let's take some pictures and let's head home. I don't know if I'll ever exactly define what my voice is as a photographer or the story that I want to be telling, but I do know what I like to do, and I've spent the time cultivating my skills in those areas. I don't see myself as a particularly creative photographer, just one that's able to do the absolute best thing possible in any given conditions. And I think that's maybe more important than finding your voice as an artist or a creative. Or maybe that is your voice, knowing exactly what you like and creating work that appeals to others similar to you. Learning to tell stories and not always chasing the short-term reward of a paycheck if it's compromising that. At the end of the day, I'm much more sure about what my voice is not rather than what it is, and I think I've made peace with that. If I can leave you with anything from this episode, it is to envision where you want your life to be and reverse engineer how to get there. Always be interested in learning and don't be afraid to be bad at things. Everyone starts somewhere, and if you don't start now, you're going to regret it 10 years from now when you still want to be doing the same thing. Above all else, be in charge of creating your own portfolio and your business, and actively be doing it right now. If you let the money dictate the direction of your business, you're going to end up in all the wrong places. Build your own portfolio because that is what's going to book you similar work in the future. That's how you build a life of happiness, and that is how you develop your voice as a creative over time. Thanks for watching episode 2 of Oversaturated. I'm Taylor Jackson, and I'll see you next time.
Allow yourself to continue doing things that expose you to new environments, new experiences, new ways of thinking, different people, because all of those things are going to influence how you think about things. And who knows, some of those experiences could allow you to get exposed to something that you become really passionate about.